J Mac, good Saturday to you, sir. Eagle Nation, good Saturday to you. We got a signing, a linebacker, John. Kyzir White, what do you know about him? He came over from the Chargers. Eagles finally make a signing. I don't know if you can call it a splash, but a signing. What do you make of it?
I think it's a good signing. McCungy, Pennsylvania kid, for those who like Lehigh County. So there's that part of it, but that's not it's not why it's good. College safety at West Virginia, sort of like the modern NFL linebacker. The Eagles have tried to do it, haven't had much success with Nate Gary, players like that. He was a safety at Nebraska. Obviously, he was not well liked in Philadelphia at times for his play. They tried it last year with Jacoby Stevens as a 6th-round pick, and he's still here. But obviously, it's a transition. Obviously, when you try to do that, so Kyzir did it from West Virginia, and did it well. He had a really good year last year. Really good year. 144 tackles, I think, which was top 10 in the NFL, 2 interceptions. So he's sort of that modern, undersized linebacker who can cover, and that's what people are looking for. And to me, at least on paper, looks like a really good compliment to TJ Edwards, because TJ is kind of the old school 240-pound downhill run support thumper. Now you have the guy who can run with backs and tight ends to sort of complement him. So this is a pretty big deal. I mean, it's second wave of free agency, and this is where the smart teams kind of pull away from the not so smart teams, where you get the deals, and this is a deal. But 1 year, $5 million, which is, and we'll have to see the details, as I always tell Jody on Birds 365. But that's not bad money for a linebacker. That's a clear indication that they like this player. He's going to be a starter next to TJ Edwards. And you can probably forget about linebacker in the first round of the draft. So I put that on Twitter. If you're Jerry Robinson, you probably can't pop the corks right now, but you can buy the champagne.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
the Eagles aren't.
That leads me into my next
Yeah.
point. It's a Howie-esque 1 year, 5-year deal. He's a 26-year-old player coming off his best year yet. He's 6'2", 220, like you said. He's kind of one of those tweeners. Do you see? I think it was Jeff Kerr who put out, I could see this guy being a linebacker in Philadelphia in the future if he plays like we're expecting this year.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, TJ is young. He's young. And if they do complement each other, like what I just talked about, the potential, you could see those guys being around for a little while. If you go back to, if you want to look at the film, if you want to look at Pro Football Focus grades, because Alex Singleton got a lot of tackles as well. He's now in Denver, but at times had some issues. And
like Barrett always says, 10 yards behind the line, so he doesn't like him.
So, tackles don't mean that much. But, they graded TJ Edwards as the 10th best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. I don't think people realize how well TJ played last year. Well, Kyzir White was 20. He wasn't bad. So if you think about 32 teams,
right,
you got 2 off-ball linebackers, 64 teams, 64 guys as starters on 32 teams. Number 10 and number 20 isn't bad.
That's pretty good if you ask me. Now, that leads me into my next point. The Eagles and this fan base are so notorious for this position. Now we have Kyzir White. We have TJ Edwards. And I hear rumblings, I know you've said it, that the organization still likes Davion Taylor. How does this linebacker room going into 2022, and this is leaving out the NFL draft, I know pretty much everyone that's done a mock for the Eagles has gotten them a linebacker somewhere, first round, second round, third round, wherever you do it, where you take it. How does this room compare to, say, other linebacker rooms in the NFL? Are we starting to get to a point where it's a good room?
Because
it's not a weakness on the team.
It is, and you add Hassan Reddick as the starting Sam linebacker.
Right.
So if you go back to last year's, Andrew, it was basically Alex Singleton, Davion Taylor, and TJ Edwards inside, Jannard Avery outside, with a little bit of Patrick Johnson as that Sam linebacker mixed
Right.
in. Now you're talking about Edwards, who was sort of developed and come on. Kyzir White, who's a proven player. Hassan Reddick, who's a proven player. That's a significant
So you
upgrade
upgraded 2 of those spots.
at the second level. Significant upgrade. So, yeah, I mean, there's not too many ways to look at this and say it's a bad move, unless you're one of those people that's gung ho on getting N'Kobe Dean or Devin Lloyd in the
If
draft.
you want one of them, your dreams
Yeah,
might be
you're out
shattered.
of luck. You're not getting one, but you were out of luck anyway. So, at least you have a somewhat proven guy. And the money tells you everything. Again, it doesn't seem like a ton, but for linebackers are devalued. So linebackers, all ball linebackers, not talking about pass rushers like Hassan Reddick, the all ball guys, they don't get paid a lot of money. So 1 year, $5 million, that's pretty significant. And it's certainly significant for the Eagles
Yeah,
for
pretty
what they usually pay linebackers.
right, pretty significant money. And now I think, everyone coming into this offseason, even still leading into the draft, it was defense, defense, defense. A lot of people want defense. I don't fall in that camp. I look at the 0 points on offense in the playoffs, and I want offense. But how do you think? I mean,
Should
you
want
just
on.
said it. Kind of, they upgraded with Reddick. They now upgraded at a linebacker. TJ Edwards is developed another year. They brought back Barnett, I guess, for depth. If you look at it solely like that, is this defense gonna? Are the excuses going to be lessened for Jonathan Gannon this year, or
Yeah,
what?
they already are, because you mentioned some of the defensive line. Pletcher's back as well after those sort of contract machinations. So if you think about inside, you got Javon Hargrave, Pletcher Cox, Milton Williams. Outside, you got Brandon Graham coming back from injury. You got Josh Sweat, who's an ascending player. You got pretty good depth as well by bringing back a Derek Barnett. So now we talk about the upgrades in linebackers. They still need another outside corner. And who knows? Maybe Steve Nelson is back. Everybody got excited when Mrs. Stephon Gilmore tweeted out that the Eagles called about him. I don't
I'd
think
love to see him in
ultimately,
Philly.
yeah, I don't think they're going to get him, but at least you can see they're sniffing around getting
What's
a
a guy
corner.
like him looking for on the market right now? I know I
Well,
know he's an elite player and he has been, but he's older. He's clearly not going
that's
to
the
get that
problem.
long-term deal.
Yeah,
So
he
what?
has been an elite player, but he is older. He's post 30, so people are cautious about giving him a lot of years. So it kind of depends on, I know there's a lot of Kansas City rumors today. Where does he want to be? Does he want to go to a significant contender? That might factor into it. How many years is he going to get? And then safety, the Eagles obviously still need to add a safety or two. So they have still some work to do, but they're already significantly better on defense. You're basically replacing Jannard Avery with Hassan Reddick, and you're replacing Davion Taylor or Alex Singleton with Kyzir White. Those are pretty significant upgrades.
Right, and I know I did also see this week the Eagles are looking to host Ahmad Gardner from Cincinnati on a pre-draft. I know that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to land him, or they maybe might not even targeting him. It could be, just for
No, I
different
mean
reasons. But I could see that being an option. Sign a guy like Stephon Gilmore, draft a corner in the first round, so you don't have to throw him into the fire. Let him learn, let him develop a little bit, and then you might be set at corner. Because you got to remember, Darius Slay, as good as he is, he's also, I think he's 30 now, or maybe
yeah,
almost
yeah.
31.
So you also have to think about long term. You're right. Um, you get 30 visits, and the Eagles are going to use all of them. They always do. And there's certain guys, Sauce Gardner, as you mentioned. Jordan Davis is coming in. We found that out at the Maxwell Club.
Big fan of Jordan Davis. I
Yeah,
love
they're
him.
probably not going to be there at 15. You got to be realistic, both
Right.
those players. So maybe there's an outside chance Davis lasts that long because he's considered to be a 2-down player, and some NFL teams don't think a run support player up front is worthy of that pick. But I think he's
Especially in
so
the modern
talented.
NFL, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's so talented. He's not going to be there at 15. So Gardner, I don't think is going to be there at 15. So if you want players like that, yeah, you got to start thinking about packaging 15 and 16 and maybe going up a few spots. So you have to put that into the equation. I still think it's more likely the Eagles go backward than forward in the draft. I think it's pretty clear they'd like to, not use all three of these first round picks, maybe spin off one of them to get another pick in the first round next year as sort of that safety net if Jalen Hurts doesn't develop and you have to be in the quarterback market. Or they could take a quarterback this year, Xander. I mean,
John, I've been saying it's starting to seem. I mean, I'm no wizard. I don't have a crystal ball on what the Eagles are going to do, but part of me is so conflicted on what the team wants to do. They like Jalen Hurts. They keep selling you this song and how much they like the kid. They haven't really done significant additions on offense to help the guy out, like we've talked about all week on Birds 365. Cilio beat the point in, so I can't really figure it out. I don't know. I've been speculating. I think they're gonna do something at quarterback.
Yeah, they might. I mean, I think a lot of people are focusing on Kenny Pickett because they took him out to dinner at his pro day. There's that famous picture of Howie with the binoculars.
Right.
He went out to Pitt to watch him play. I think they like Sam Howell as well. People forget who was playing Pitt when
That game, right?
When Howie was looking at the binoculars. It was North Carolina. It was Sam Howell.
And maybe Howell falls to them and they don't need to move.
Well, the thing is, I think you want the 5th-year option with quarterbacks in the first round.
First year or first round.
I think the Eagles would like a player like that, but they would like to move back. They would like to move back from, say, 19 to 30 or 31. Best case scenario, 32. But you got to be able to do that. You got to have two to tango. But you want that 5th-year option. I think they're at the quarterback position. I think there's been sort of a sea change in the NFL, and more organizations are starting to think about going to more of a college-like mindset at the quarterback position rather than pay the going rate for an above-average quarterback in this league is now $35 million.
Kirk Cousins just got another year, and I mean, he's your
really
perfect example of in the middle of the pack quarterback.
When you start talking about Aaron Rodgers is 50, Matthew Stafford's over 40. That's what you're talking about. That's the
and that also, John, that cripples. Cilio has been saying it all week. Look at Aaron Rodgers; he gets that big deal. Devontae Adams is off the team. Look at Patrick Mahomes; he signs a big deal. Tyreek Hill's off the team. So you deal with those ramifications. Also, also the big money, but also the roster too.
So, not that even Jalen Hurts is a bad player, but you have to start after this year. He's eligible for an extension. So. I've talked about this a lot. Do you want to pay Jalen Hurts $33 million? Let's put it that number, just as sort of a placeholder. Or would you rather turn it over and start with a young quarterback and hope you develop them while you can build the rest of your roster? I don't know. It's a difficult decision to make.
Well, let's hypothetically do it real quick. If let's say they want to keep Jalen Hurts and they want to extend him for whatever the dollars might be, what's the best move? Is it putting enough? Here's my problem with what they're doing this offseason. They struck out on some of these veteran wide receivers. I get it. The pieces have to fall for you to land a player. Ridley, we didn't know. I get it. If you're going to draft, let's say they draft Garrett Wilson, who's mocked as the number one right now, or Drake London, or whoever one of these top guys is. That's another rookie wideout with a second-year starting quarterback across from wide receiver 1 who's still in year 2. I mean, these guys are all acclimating to the NFL. So you're not giving you put Devontae Adams with him, he's got 8 years. He's not learning the NFL. He's helping the quarterback automatically.
And
Those
he's
other guys,
helping.
I mean,
He's
there's a lot of
helping.
players on this team that are learning the NFL.
Yeah, and he's helping. That was the thing with the Eagles. Like, they needed a veteran receiver to help. And Devontae Smith even said it. As
Yeah,
advanced
he
as he
did.
was for a rookie, he admitted, yeah, I could have used more of a veteran presence. And you can argue they brought in Zach Pascal, who's a veteran, but he doesn't have that kind of skill level to be, regarded as a peer. So I think the best case scenario would have been a Calvin Ridley or a Robert Woods or an Allen Robinson, guys who know how to play. Robert Woods to me would have been perfect because he's such a great route runner. He's such a good blocker. He's just a really, really refined player. He understands how to play. He would have been Zach Pascal with talent, that could help the young receivers. But he didn't want to come here. So, I mean, the Eagles had interest, and sometimes that's the way it shakes out. And we've been talking about that as well. Why don't these receivers want to come here? And I think everybody's like, you're belittling Jalen Hurts when you say that. No, they don't want to come here because of the offense. Now it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg type thing, and say, well, is it the player or is it the scheme? So if you want to just blame everything on Jalen Hurts, go ahead. I can't stop you, but I do know personally everybody likes the kid. So it's not like they're saying, oh, I don't want to come here because I don't want to play with Jalen Hurts. They're looking at this offense and the way the Eagles played last year and said, I'm a wide receiver. I got to get targets. If I don't get targets, I don't get paid. I'll get cut if I don't produce. They want targets. That's all receivers do. We had Glenn Macnow on the show. He had a great, so I'll give him credit. He had a great description. It's the most selfish position in the league. They know they need to catch the football to continue to get paid. And they all want the football.
I can't hate on them for it either. I mean, their paycheck is tied to it. So I'm not going to, I can't hate on a receiver wanting to go a place where there's a volume passer. We can't necessarily help that. So, John, we got Hassan Reddick. We got Zach Pascal. We got Kyzir White, a linebacker from the Chargers. And they brought back a couple, Barnett, Cox. You mentioned Cox. I like the Cox deal because now I guess they're not tied to him further into the future where they're kicking that can down the road. What's the biggest need left? I know we mentioned wide receiver. We've beaten that bush. I know safety. There's obviously not much back there. But it does feel like there's a lot of youth. There's a lot of good talent spread across the roster. I know there's some holes. I know there's some things the Eagles need to do. But if you're not beating on the quarterback at the moment and you're okay in that situation, I think the roster is not. It's not awful. I mean, when I look at it, I don't think it's terrible.
No,
I think they needed that bet wide out, but I know we've beaten that. I don't need to say that.
Yeah, the goal every time you go into free agency is to make sure once you're finished with free agency, you don't feel the need to take something in the draft. In other words, you never want to go into the draft and say, yeah, I need a corner above all else because I don't have a corner. So that's what the Eagles are doing. So ultimately, I do expect him to sign a corner at some point. Might be Steve Nelson back, probably a 1-year deal. They did bring Anthony Harris back, but they probably want to add another body at safety. They did add Zach Pascal to add that body at wide receiver. But those are the three positions. I mean, they still need a wide receiver. They still need a corner outside corner opposite Darius Slay. And they still need a safety to mix in with Anthony Harris and Marcus Epps. Those to me would be the three biggest needs, but they really cleaned up. Before today, I would have put a linebacker in there. Now I feel pretty good about the Eagles and linebacker, and I can't remember the last time I've said that.
Yeah, and you're not the only. I mean, I have, from what I've seen just so far, I think the sentiment across the city that they like this signing. I mean, it's not over the top money, so there's not too much to dislike about it. But I think there's good upside on the player as well. Just one question, something you just hit on that I don't understand as a fan of the game and of the NFL. Steven Nelson, right? I don't know how old he is. I get is he almost 30 now?
He is 29 or 30. So
29.
Stevie's
But
going.
here's my question. He was a pretty good corner for us. Now I know he's not a game-changing NFL corner. He's not, obviously there's the market dictating that now. But what is it that he's not getting hits on them? Like, I thought he would be gone in the first week. A team contending, maybe need a second or a third, a depth corner, a good player for $5 million. I don't get how he doesn't have a market. When he played opposite Darius Slay, he was pretty good for us. I mean, he didn't get picked on a lot last year.
Yeah, he was very good, and I think this is the second straight year. Remember, Steve, and he is 29. I just looked it up, so he'll turn 30 next January. So that's part of it. But he was a starter in Kansas City, starter in Pittsburgh, and it was the same sort of narrative. He's a good player, not a great player. People are concerned in this league when you can't run. And when I say that, I compared to me and
Right, by
most
NFL
normal
standards.
human beings, Steve Nelson is very, very fast. Compared to the average NFL corner, he's not. And that's a concern. He's more of a zone corner, so you got to play a lot of zone, which the Eagles did last year, and they probably will moving forward. So he's a nice fit here. Other teams like to play more press man. He's not a fit for that. So all of that kind of factors into it. But yeah, I mean, Steve waited a long time last year because he thought
I mean,
he
we
should have
signed
got
him. I remember we did the
2
breaking news
days before
with Kid,
camp. Yeah.
right?
And first practice of camp, he was a starting corner. And that's what the Eagles can offer him. What they could offer him last year, they could say, well, come in here, Steve. We can guarantee you're going to start here. And then you can get back to free agency. And that's what he did. And he's back at free agency after a pretty good year. And he's not getting the multiple years and the money he wants. So the longer it goes, the better the chance is that he'll be back. But with 3 first-round picks, I think the Eagles are going to go get a corner at some point. And whether it's McDuffie, I think I mentioned Ahmad Gardner. I think he's going to be gone.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be there. And Stingley, there's a chance he'll be there from LSU. McDuffie, I think, is the cleanest prospect. I think you'll be able to get him. Andrew Booth, it's a potential. I think they're going to be able to get a corner.
Seems to be some pretty good corners in this draft and at the top. Even maybe late in the first round, there might be some sitting there.
Yeah, I think 15, 16. If the Eagles stay there, I think they're going to get a corner.
Got it. So that'll do it, John. We're looking pretty good, I got to say. I don't feel too awful about where the Eagles are I know we've beat the bush on the wide receiver thing, and that's a tough scenario for the team, and I think more so for the quarterback. I mean, it's one thing to beat on Jalen Hurts passing, but if you don't give him, I mean, just look around the league, Quez Watkins, I love him, but he's a wide receiver 5 in Cincinnati. I mean, think about that for a second.
Maybe a lot of teams.
Maybe
a lot of teams. I
right,
mean,
so,
most of the explosive teams in this league, he would be a wide receiver 4. And he's, at best. And he's a wide receiver 2 here. That's not good enough.
Yeah,
that's not good enough. They got to get better. Now, you can live with Quez Watkins because he's still an emerging player. If he's your 3rd receiver, I can live with that. But you're not helping Jalen Hurts if that's number 2. Now, you do have to factor in Dallas Goedert because people do forget about Dallas Goedert. Dallas
I'm a
is
little
very
higher
good.
on Dallas Goedert than
Dallas Goedert is top 5 tight end in this league. So he factors into it as well. But you just need more explosive ability. The Eagles have been talking about getting more explosive at wide receiver for years and years and years. They can't do it because they missed on JJ. They missed on Jalen Reagor. They did hit on Devontae Smith, but, you and I could have made that decision. But they need another guy, and you can't count on Quez Watkins to be that guy.
We'll see if they go 3 in a row. I don't know. I saw the stat yesterday somewhere. This would be 3 straight first round wide receivers for the Eagles. I don't know who the other team. I think it was done in 03 to 05. I forget.
Probably Detroit.
I think
Detroit
it was,
did
that
it.
might have been it. I forget
Yeah.
who it was, but we'll see what they do at wide receiver. All right, J-Mac, Kyzir White is a Philadelphia Eagle. The linebacker room gets bolstered with another young talent. I'm sure we'll talk about it all week long on Birds 365. Have a good Saturday, sir.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, brother.